Hi, David, Revhtree. Everybody's so lucky they get to see you.
Randy,
there he is.
Rev.
Boom.
I don't know about lucky.
All right,
but
man.
they're forced to see me today.
The 3 R's.
Forced. I'm so sorry. We have David from Reeftree here. He's a big snorer. This will be a terrible episode.
So he says.
No. This is going to be my favorite. I actually went out to dinner with him and his wife last night. It was like, and my wife. And it was the most fun like I've had in ages. So I'm so excited to share that with you guys.
We had a great time, man. Thanks for having us.
Right on. So this is what you're going to see today. We're going to talk about cost of a dream reef tank. And there's a reason that I invited David here. And it's because he recently put a dream tank in his house. And again, for those of you who don't know, David Hammontree here started Club Zoa, which eventually created into Reef to Reef, and then dominated the internet and is now the #1 forum on reefing. And I would say like #2 is so far behind now, it doesn't even really hit the equation. So just the forum of reefing.
The roof.
So,
Awesome.
Awesome,
Thank
man.
you.
And so we're going to talk about what this costs and really kind of dig into it. And I'm going to hit one part that is kind of near and dear to me, man. And it's like a little bit of the elephant in the room. And it's people really don't like talking about what it costs to have
like
a
the
tank,
real
myself
cost.
included. And like, you know, in the industry, it's like, oh, don't tell people what it costs because no sane person would do this.
And
You
it's
know,
not
you're
only
scare
that.
everybody away.
It's like your spouse or your significant other. The biggest joke is like, don't tell her what all this costs because she's gonna sell or he's gonna sell this stuff for what I said it cost. And yeah.
I can't tell you how many people actually have us ship stuff to their neighbors. They have us ship specifically when their spouse is like on vacation. Like there's like kind of hidden in the DNA of reefing is like, don't talk about what it costs, man, because it's insane.
Yeah, I heard a local fish store one time would change the receipts for their.
Oh, second receipt.
Good for them.
Yeah, I don't know about all that. I have an awesome wife who.
You know what's funny too, because I tell people outside of the hobby who somewhat have an idea, like maybe they have freshwater tanks or something like that, and I tell them, you know, what I do and the company I work for and this, and they go, oh, saltwater. Like even outside of the hobby, saltwater fish tanks is like understood as being super expensive and all this money, and there's costs with it.
You got to be rich to have a saltwater aquarium.
And that's like partially true and not true.
Yeah.
You can rehome a tank. Like you can go get one off of Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace or a Reef to Reef forum. In fact, you can even go into like a local club forum there and say, hey, I'm looking for a tank. And most likely somebody in the group's got one in their garage. Right?
Yeah, we all do.
Like, you don't have to be rich to do it. But if anybody tries to tell you that this is a cheap hobby, I think they're just lying to you.
Absolutely.
Maybe we decided as hobbyists, we decided to put our extra dollars into something else, into reefing versus what everybody else spends all their extra dollars on, like out and drinking and eating or
hunting,
a different hobby. There's all different
So
ways.
every one of those things are just things that like bring joy to your life.
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
Yeah.
So like people invest in joy, and you're gonna hear that a lot on me because it's just true. And like I heard that phrase and like it just rang true with me, and like that is why I put all this money in this. This is insane, you know. And so like for a lot of people, you know, like I said right straight up in this one, like I opened up and was like, dude, this is gonna cost me tens of thousands of dollars to do this, right? And they're like, the moment just getting it out of my mouth, like, relief. It really is going to cost me. You know? Like, my wife probably heard it now. You know, it's in the ecosphere, right?
Yeah.
You know, but here's the thing: is like, who's going to spend $10,000 or more on their tank, right?
Yeah.
And like that sounds insane. But in the same spirit, man, like. I know all my friends who spent $20,000 or $30,000 on some bathroom in their house they never used. Right? And they're paying 30 years worth of APR on it, which made it 60 grand. And so like, maybe that bathroom was super important, or maybe the difference between having a Toyota and a Lexus is super important. Leather seats brings joy to my life when I drive to work. You know, whatever. I mean, that's true though, right?
Absolutely.
Like whatever it is, you're like, man, I'll invest in that because that will make some portion of my day better. And if you'd never had a reef tank, especially one that you really poured your heart and soul, you would never understand this. Never, ever, ever understand. Right?
And I think some people coming into the hobby too, they would say, I would never spend 20 grand on a tank, but when it's all said and done, they start these costs start calculating and adding up, and before you know it, they're in the thousands and, you know, breaking the $10,000 barrier and things like that. So it's not really outrageous to say you're going to spend thousands or tens of thousands, even on what may not be considered a dream tank. It all adds up. So I've been there.
I think a lot of people would be surprised if they go back and start calculating every little bit that they've ever put into their tanks.
Yeah, you don't want to do that.
Including cost of labor
You
to
don't
pay
do
for
that.
yourself.
That's true. That's a good point.
One of the things that also brings joy in my life is bass fishing. But if I calculate what the boat costs and the slip and all that stuff, man, I would never do it.
All of those wacky worms.
Like, anytime anybody comes up, like, don't think about it. Because I don't want to take that joy out of my life, but if I calculate it, it's not an economic sense. It doesn't make sense.
Yep.
But, like, we go out bass fishing in the morning before work, man, and there is something that happens between the hours of 7 and 9 when you catch 30 bass that makes me ready for this day in a way that nothing else could possibly do it, right?
Yeah.
And so joy to my life by definition.
Yeah.
Right? And some of these other things too is you just don't think about, right? And so like there's a lot of things that bring joy to your life you just do.
Yeah.
Like I heard out of you like earlier today, like you're just not going to think about what this costs. I'm just going to do it.
Right.
Right. And that sounds kind of crazy, but like so many people do that with all of their other pets, dogs, cats, or whatever. And you're like, oh, my cat doesn't cost me that much money, or a dog. And we're like, no, it did. It absolutely did too. So I can tell you about my dog. My dog, I got a case hound. The thing was like $1,500 because I wanted a specific type of dog, right? I actually flew down to Kentucky and drove back up with this dog, right? You got it fixed, you got it, or neutered rather, flea and heart medication. I'm going to local Woodies to get ground up like squirrel or whatever it is.
Oh, yeah.
I put in an electric, or not electric fence, but a wireless fence for them to run around. Like,
vet visits, toys, like all types of stuff.
the couch he chewed up. The amount of damage to the house.
The floor that you flood with your aquarium.
Yeah, dude. So like the amount of money, but I never think about my dog as an investment. I just think about something that brings joy to my life.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah,
So,
you would do that over and over again.
yeah, so, I don't know. So that's kind of like for me, man, just get this stuff out into the universe. This is why we do it.
Yeah.
This is why it costs a fortune. And it is now there. So we're going to keep it real today and just talk about it the way it is. If you guys have any specific questions, ask them because that's what we're here for. And I'm going to say one more thing.
Yep.
Every tank I've ever done has been a dream tank at the time. What was your first tank?
75 gallon.
Okay, when you started, did you think, man, I'm sacrificing?
Absolutely not, man. We took all of our income tax money that we got on our refund and boom, dropped it all into live rock. Didn't think twice about it.
And I'm telling you, I never even knew I wanted a tank. I went to I always liked saltwater fish and whatnot in my head. Is like, that'd be really cool. But to be honest, when I was growing up, I was too poor to ever think about anything like that.
Yeah.
But as an adult, I was like 27 or something and waiting tables and whatnot. And this is cool.
Yeah.
I want to do this. Just being in there, seeing it, and I want to do this. And I saved up, man, and probably a disproportionate amount of money. I was sacrificing other things. I want to do this thing, And that 90-gallon tank, there was no anything in my mind. I was sacrificing anything. This was my dream tank.
Absolutely,
right?
absolutely.
And it was $2,000, and I probably went way over that. But that's how much I decided that I was going to spend in the beginning. And the over was actually mostly wasting money, buying all the wrong things over.
Oh,
and over.
yeah.
Absolutely.
But
Gear.
yeah, dude. So also the clown harem tank, dream tank, always in my mind. Whole tank full of anemone swam back and forth, watching 30 of these little guys this big grow up into a hierarchy, trying to figure out who's the boss. Super fun. This guy right here, for sure. This was where Formex's function with the Reefsavvy tank and the Chris Benner stand and then all the gear in the back. That was the funnest thing we ever did here.
Yeah.
So all of them and the whole way along.
Yeah, every tank, every
But so
progression.
in each of those progressions from the 90 to the harem to the ULMs, each had their own cost too,
Yeah,
different
that's true.
costs, and they're
That's true.
probably from what you're doing now in your house to the 90 something, the costs are the difference is not astronomical, but big.
Yeah.
Well, so the dream actually sometimes gets
Yeah.
way more expensive, right?
Yeah.
But not always. So like the second tank that I did was a 40-gallon breeder that ultimately turned into Dream Tank, which is another reef savvy tank, which is 70 gallons.
Oh,
Tank
yeah,
actually
yeah.
got smaller.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? And I had, the tank looks nice now, and I took the stuff out of the 40 and put in it. So I didn't have to buy new rock or any of that stuff. I used the exact same gear, everything, put it in there. And you know, now just the tank and stand looks sharp in the room. Right?
Yeah.
And then the tank, the clown harem tank, man, like that was way, way, way cheaper in many ways. And in that case, Vertex actually donated a tank to that purpose. It was like a prototype. You know, like, oh, well, let's build my dream tank in this prototype. Right? They gave it to us. You
Absolutely.
know?
A good opportunity.
They didn't
yeah.
ask us what to do with it. I just like, if somebody gave me a tank, what do I want to do with this thing? I know, you know, and we followed that thing for like 5 years, so it was super fun.
So you make a good point. You make a good point about that. Like the clown harem tank was from somebody, so it wasn't an investment that you had to put forward. But a lot of those opportunities exist out there where you can come across your piece of dream equipment or tank or fish or coral without spending all the upfront dollars for it.
That's the way it happened. My very first tank. I was ashamed, but I'm not ashamed to admit now that I got into the hobby because of Finding Nemo.
Oh,
Yes,
yeah.
I hear
there
the
you go.
shock.
You're
and
the wave,
and the gas. I hear all of that, but no, my wife wanted. She wanted the whole Finding Nemo crew, and including the turtle that swam around. But but yeah, and we just had a connection to some kids that went to our private school we had there at the church, and who had set up an aquarium and then tore it down and was sitting in their garage. So I just went and bought it from them pretty cheap, and I was sucked in after that, man.
Oh, that's super cool, man. Oh, wait, I got one more thing. Before we get too far into this, I got to thank Omar. So Omar, man, I got a present this week from somebody, and I'm wearing it right here. So Omar, like I saw him at a MACNA, never met him before, told me he had a nice shirt. It was like a Psycho Bunny, it's got a little bunny on it. And I'm like, ah, nice shirt, man, I can't get those in Minneapolis. And it was like the end of the conversation, really, and then boom, I get a shirt like the other day. Here it is. He found it in the same color blue as the shirts you're giving away.
That's
It's
true.
got like a BULK REEF orange on the
Nice.
lip. So thank you very much, Omar. I just thought I'd give you a shout out, and I don't know, I had to interrupt for that.
That's super nice of you, Omar. I don't think we can get those in North Georgia either.
I don't even
so.
know what Psycho Bunny is.
Well, so the whole, I mean, before we derail this whole conversation.
Because we are.
It was like, he's like, do they make me wear polos at work? And
Yeah.
I go out on all these trade shows. But I want to be fun. Right? And so it's got this crazy little Psycho Bunny on it, which is different than a little
It's
horse.
awesome.
You know, so like our little polo horse,
Oh, that's
right?
cool.
So I don't know.
Love it.
So thank you, Omar. And anybody else want to send shirts? Randy would like shirts too. So,
Yeah, sure.
awesome, man. So what we're going to go into now, I think, is kind of the various stages of dream tanks again.
Yeah.
So you had the first tank. What was it, like the second or third tank?
125 gallon. It was one of the 6 foot.
Was that like the Marineland dual corner overflow type
It was.
system?
It was.
Yeah.
Found it on a forum and drove to South Carolina and tore the
yeah.
thing down for the guy. Brought everything, all the fish, everything.
Oh,
back.
live. Like it was up and running.
It was up and running. I went and helped him tear it down, and
You're braver than me.
everything survived. Everything survived. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
was
Is this
awesome.
it right here?
That's it.
Oh, right
That's
there,
it.
man. Nice, awesome.
call, yeah.
Look how beautifully brown that is.
No,
No,
that
actually,
is
the
super
rock
cool,
looks
man.
great.
Like for you went and picked this tank up outside of state,
Yes.
took all the animals, housed them, and didn't lose a single one.
In a van, battery powered, air stone.
Oh, that's cool.
Yep, some powder blue tanks.
I
yellow
moved
tank.
one tank, and it was that 40 to the 70, and I was only 30 minutes away and terrified. I don't think we lost anything either, but man, I was terrified the whole way.
I think I was too naive to realize the risk that I was taking.
Oh, yeah, sometimes you just don't even know what to be
Or
afraid
sometimes
of.
you're just like, forget it, I'm doing it. You know.
Sometimes
cool.
the deal is too good where you can't pass it.
It
up.
was, and it was a great deal.
So anything past the 125?
Several, right?
Oh, several.
Oh yeah. There's been lots of dream tanks, but nothing like the current tank.
Okay, so what that used tank, man, what did that cost you?
I think that was like literally like $800, and that was with everything.
got
It was
everything.
the
Yeah,
still the
that's
century.
steel, yeah.
Oh yeah, it had coral, everything. Yeah.
All right, there it is, man. $800, and you can get your own dream
Everything.
tank, right?
Yeah.
It's like
if you're willing to drive to
plug and
North
play.
Carolina, was it? Was it?
South Carolina.
South Carolina.
Yeah.
Right, they're just giving them away there in South Carolina.
You gotta
no,
have your feelers out there. You gotta be looking though.
that's awesome.
I mean, that was
Awesome
around
deal.
2004. So.
Yeah, so
There's
I
been
think
a
that's
lot
one
of
of the
inflation
messages
since then.
here is if you're willing to pick up rehome a tank,
Yeah.
pick it up used, man, you can save a fortune. There's no question.
Absolutely, and I've done that a few times. So.
Right on.
Okay.
I did that once with a 110, and I wasn't brave enough to take it all live, but it was somebody else's used tank. It was the same thing, like $700 for a 110 with a stand, a skimmer, and a
Yeah.
sump, and the whole thing,
Wow.
lighting, and a hood on it.
Yeah.
Like, dude, brand new, you're looking at $5 grand,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
You know, and instead of a few $100, like
Mm-hmm.
because like the people that like kind of fail in this hobby at some point or just have to get out.
Yeah.
Eventually, the thing goes into the garage, and like in your head, man, I'm gonna set this thing back up. But
Yeah.
eventually, your spouse is like, make room in the damn
Get it
garage.
out of here.
You know,
Get it outta
either
here.
start it back up again or don't.
Yeah.
One or
Yeah,
the other,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
I've wheeled and dealed like that. So my thing is I would either frag a bunch of stuff and get the gear that I wanted from store credit,
Yes.
or go onto these Craigslist and go onto these ads, find these deals, and even if I got here and there was a 40-gallon breeder with a custom stand, custom footstool for the ATO, it had the like a max spec razor light, but the thing I was after was an Apex and 2 MP10s. And I didn't care about anything else, but it was live. I mean, it was live too, and it was, hey, you got to come tear this down, transport it, and then bring it back. And the only things I wanted was those pumps
You're like,
and that controller. But
Yeah.
I brought the whole thing over, set it all back up, and then it resold pieces of it, but kept the stuff that I want, and that helped add to my dream tank of my 93
You
gallon
just gotta
cube.
find a way to make it happen, man. When
Yeah.
you like can't
Oh, yeah.
afford the whole thing new, man. You just wheel
Yeah.
and deal and
Piece
you know,
together
like
what you want.
you were doing that, man. I'm like trying to make homemade fish food. Meanwhile, right? And like I didn't even know people even gonna want this stuff.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
literally, I went and made this recipe for fish food with reef chili, and like I was just a super fun extension of my hobby, man. Like people are like doing raw foods for their dog. I feel like maybe the little frozen pellets or whatever is like the equivalent of Meow Mix. Like I'm gonna step up my game, right?
Yeah.
And then I used it, and I'm like, after a couple months, I'm like, man, I got 20 of these baggies, and I've used 1/4 of one. And I'm like, man, I'm doing the math. Like, dude, I got it forever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good.
Too much. Way too much.
Right, yeah, everybody, oh, boom. All of a sudden, people are like buying the local club and put it up there, they all bought it at once. So you're just finding a way. Like that, like my tank was not in my budget in
Yeah.
any stretch of the imagination. I just had to make it happen.
Yeah, I had my little side hustle with I had a little aquatics for less on eBay.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so where I sold, fragged off some zoanthids because that was my thing, in the beginning. That's really what got me going. But yeah, I sold some zoanthids for a few months. I'm like, shipping sucks. I'm not doing this no more.
I did that with the frozen reef chili. Actually, was in my house. I went to Home Depot and bought insulation, and it was like insulating the boxes by hand. I
Oh
made some
my
jigs
gosh.
to cut out the things, and then I was dry icing in there, and eventually, I didn't care whether or not this made money or not. I was burning my hands left and right on that dry ice and stuff, and I was done. I couldn't do it anymore. But yeah, I mean, sometimes it just gets too much work.
Yeah.
But you're always trying to find a way.
Yeah,
man.
find a way to offset the cost and all that, but also just having fun with it. You know what I mean? Like to me, like growing corals in your house is a pretty amazing thing to be able to do. So that's another reason for doing it. But
The MJ mods thing was the same, right?
Yeah.
So for me, most of you probably never even heard of this or know about it, right? But we were breaking apart to build an MJ mod, you had to go get a plumbing fitting. Then you had to find a way to center it, and then get a special piece of airline tubing, and you'd have to go through the PetSmart because the PetSmart was the only one that had the right special tubing for it. And then you had to stick your rod into each one of them because they don't come out even. You had to find the right one that fit it. And then it was use carbon fiber rod, but you had to buy a pack of it. And then it was 316 grade welding rod, but you had to buy a whole box of it. And then it was just so much shenanigans, but it was super, super fun. And we were if you watched that episode, we saw all kinds of different props on there. We're testing all of them, and was just super, super fun beyond anything. And there's like a thread that's like, 80 pages deep about boat props and the right boat prop to use.
I totally didn't even know that was you guys, that you did that, yeah.
Yeah, well, it was funny. And for those of you who don't know, like if you watch that thing, I mean, to cut out that little ring inside the plumbing fitting, what we do is crank up the table saw just like about 1/8 of an inch, and then I'd take the plumbing thing and I'd spin it around in a circle on there to cut the notch in it.
Ooh.
And every once in a while, boom, right in the face. I am so lucky I have
Fingers,
fingers.
toes.
Eyes.
Yeah, I can't believe I'm so lucky. Lucky's eyes. I wore glasses after getting shot in the face. Yeah, that was real clear. But yeah, just dedicated, man. I'm doing this for my thing, and even cooler. So when we got the whole thing, part of it was centering it, right? And I'm like, man, what would be really easy is if you could get a cap for it to center it. I didn't even know what a CNC was.
Yeah.
But I saw that there was another reef nerd like me on the local club, and he was CCing out something. He's like, you got a machine that cuts stuff. And I'm like, dude, if you have a machine that cuts stuff exactly, I bet he could cut a cap for this thing, And I went over there, never met this guy, and before you know, he's printing out 2,000 of these things a month for me.
Wow.
He's able to quit his trucking job, and all he's doing is like printing out little caps.
pretty
Economy's coming out of MJ Mods.
That's awesome.
It's a super, super cool experience for me.
So we all
Very
had
cool.
those side hustles or wheeling and dealing or different ways to offset the initial cost. But so now we've been in this for years.
Yeah.
Now we've been doing it for
Yeah.
we have an idea of what our dream tank is now, and we're actually going to shell out some dollars for like tank and stand and the stuff
Yeah.
that you actually want.
Oh,
I don't see myself going back to the wheeling and dealing phase.
Right.
I'm at a point now where I already know what I want,
Absolutely.
and I'll start putting the investment and saving the dollars for what I want.
Yeah.
I can say just like from my first car to the car I drive now.
Yeah.
There's one's more expensive than the other one, and it's my first tank to this one. It just evolved.
Yeah. And I think it's when you first get into the hobby, you start to learn. You're fine with just about anything.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you're like Kenya tree coral. I love it. You know what I mean?
Sheets of Xenia.
Oh
Awesome.
yeah.
That's cool.
I mean, I made a lot of money off pulsing Xenia, but anyway. But there comes a point in time when you get over that hump, so to speak, and then you start really dreaming of something that can be, an amazing tank. You start dreaming about these in-wall tanks that you've seen, at public locations and things like that, and then you start seeing these equipment rooms that are just amazing, and you just think about how much it would make life easier, and then those dreams begin to evolve and grow, and then before you know it, you're in them tens of thousands of dollars.
Well, they tend to fester too, right?
Yes.
It's
Yeah.
in my head I have this dream tank, but really this dream tank has been in my head for, I don't know, man, 7 or 8 years.
Yeah.
It's just for me, I just like to do things big, and I just get so wrapped up in it, and so it's it's gonna be super, 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 super cool, and then it's oh my gosh, the amount of work that needs to be done, collapse, right?
Oh yeah,
right?
Absolutely. And guys watching the video here, I know they can agree with everything that we're saying, but to dream up something like that, and like you say, it's just it really will consume things like me and my wife. We were looking for a home to buy, and it was just honey, if there's not a place for an in-wall tank and for me to build a equipment room behind it, we're not looking at it. You know what I mean? I mean, of course, she was perfectly okay with that because I'm very lucky with Tanya, but
Very.
and she's watching, so she's amazing. But anyway, so it's everything will evolve and revolve around that dream, So whatever it takes to get it, if it be, I'm going to pass on this really good deal for this home to buy.
Oh yeah.
To put this, dream tank in. That's just the way it goes.
The house that I ultimately bought, where this tank is going, was 2x4s, and I was just trying to imagine where this tank is going to go, and where ultimately it was where's the fish rooms, right?
Yeah.
And
Yes.
that was the starting point of the whole thing, because
Yeah.
if I can't have a fish room, I can't have a tank at this point, right?
Yeah.
'Cause I need to have a place to have the gear. I can't crawl underneath there
Right.
anymore.
got kids.
I'm too old. My knees hurt.
Yeah.
I keep falling on my bike. Yeah. So I need to have a fish room, and more than that, like my personal passion really is like acquiring knowledge and then sharing it with you guys. And so like for me, I need to be able to show it, and showing it cramped underneath a stand is just too hard to do on video. I need to ultimately have a bigger space to do it in.
All right.
So
let's
that was
get
my
to
excuse.
all right.
cost.
Cost. All right, so I want to start with infrastructure. Like,
Yeah.
So
like, this
you
is
don't
your
even,
house?
You haven't even talked about a tank yet.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do to this house to make it get ready? I'll let you go.
Do you have pictures of this too?
Yeah. So.
Some of the room and
Where?
stuff.
Oh, go to that last one.
Yeah,
yeah.
right
Where the
there.
tank is going.
Okay, so this is down. This is a basement in the house, and this we just bought the home. The people moved their furniture out there, and that wall you see right there on the right that's where the tank is going to go.
Okay, so there's open room behind that.
Yes.
All right,
So this is
there's-
what that open room looked like.
okay.
It's like a lower garage for
Oh, yeah.
lawn equipment, stuff like that. And so I figured this would be the perfect
fish
spot, to put this fish room in. But for me, like it's a dream tank, right? So I don't want just to screw things in on those 2x4 walls. I want it to look nice.
Right,
You know what I
right.
mean? Plus, I have the excuse that I run Reef to Reef, so I can, somebody's going to see it at some point, and I got to be serious, right?
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing to me too. Like, you guys give me all kinds of pressure. Like, I want to live up to you guys' expectations.
Absolutely.
Like,
That's tough.
If I set
That's
up
tough.
with like a 40-gallon breeder in my house, like I feel like there's going to be people up front with torches.
Oh, yeah. I have people all the time, they're like, giving me a lot of grief over, you don't share enough full tank, shots and stuff like that. I'm like, you really don't want to see it right now, because you go through stages of things, and you want to put your best foot forward. But it's good just to be honest and open, like we're doing today. Like, it's expensive to set up a dream tank. It really is.
What was the biggest cost of just getting the room ready?
The biggest cost was, maybe he's got a photo of some of the guys working in the room, but it was. So they came in. This is the guys take in. There was some shelving and lighting on the wall there that the previous owner had to come out. That wall there is where the tank's going to go in the wall there.
Oh, okay.
So they actually built a room in with a ceiling and everything, 2 double doors. It's a complete,
Oh, okay.
built-in room there. But one of the main issues with that built-in there was the hole there. I'm in the basement, so that wall there was actually holding up quite a bit of weight from,
like a supportive
from
wall.
upstairs. Yeah,
Oh,
so
okay.
you can see that header there above the aquarium was pretty massive that they put in there. So that room was the biggest cost of the whole thing, because making the front look good, we opted to put some half brick in there, which was the wrong color. I'm sorry, Tanya. I chose the wrong color. She said this, and I thought it was this, and I put this in. It was too late to change it, but yeah, just getting the room there was the main cost of it all. So
I got to tell you, I got a meeting right after this one. So as soon as you guys are done, or we're done here, I got to run. And at 2 o'clock, I'm meeting with the power guy at my house, right?
Just for the tank.
Just for the
Yeah.
tank,
Yeah.
right?
Nice.
And I actually am super fortunate that the room that I picked has my power panel in it, right?
Right next door for me,
Like,
yep.
I could actually maybe do this. My wife may not let me, but I could actually probably wire this thing. But what I can't do is install a generator.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
And so I don't know what it's going to cost exactly, but the lady on the phone today told me, well, if you do it just for a couple rooms, it'll probably be about $5,000.
Yeah.
If you do it for your whole house, it'll be 10.
yeah, 10 to 15 easy.
And I'm just like,
Yeah.
Whole house versus 2 rooms is double the
and
cost.
never
That's
in a million
experience
years.
that I
Like, we don't
had.
have a lot of power outages in Minnesota, right? And then when they do,
Bad
they're
winters, that's about it, yeah.
last matter of days,
Yeah.
hours rather. I would, and I can live without TV for a matter of multiple days.
Yeah.
Actually, or whatever power, man, I can live without. So I'd never buy this for my house. I will tell Melissa, my wife, that, we'll never be without power. This is a total benefit for the family, right?
Yeah.
But she knows. She knows me well. So
Yeah.
that's just crap. So I'm probably going to be into this for somewhere between 5 and 10 grand, just to put in whole house power. So if the power ever goes out, it automatically kicks on to the natural gas engine. And I got to tell you, it's a smart thing to do, because we lost in the XXL 750 up front probably 5,000 plus in fish in a single event.
Wow.
Right? And like in the 360, I have full intentions of becoming a fish collector, right?
So
and not only are these expensive, but they're my pets.
Yeah.
I do not think about this as a goldfish bowl anymore. This isn't just something you put in your room and it's fun for your kids to play with for a day.
Yeah.
It's these are my pets. They're going to be with me for 20 years. And I am not going to let something like
could possibly outlive you.
my neighbor driving their car into the power line be the thing that made me fail, right?
Right.
So I haven't done a single thing, and today, man, I'm already into this for a ridiculous sum.
So infrastructure-wise for the 360, it's power, and then are you doing something for the floor?
Yeah, so
you have a tank and stand, and then the equipment behind the wall. So you have to cut the pieces of the wall out. But infrastructure-wise,
so I don't have to cut the wall. So my wall here is also a supportive structural wall, right? But I've chosen to have an internal overflow, and I'm just going to cut out boxes between the support beams so that I can get the pumps and stuff on there, and I don't have to tear out the wall.
Yep.
Okay.
That doesn't mean that ultimately that's not going to happen when I realize that I made the wrong choice.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know for sure, right? And you guys are going to experience right along with me. But I would like to not rebuild the entire house. I'd like to not blow the entire tank budget on walls, right? If I don't have to, I will if I have to, but I'd like not to.
But that's your first problem, having a tank budget.
Oh yeah.
Just don't even start with that.
So my wife made me, man. She made me have some kind of constraints for this thing, and I will probably break them. But even then, even if I break them, at least I've only broke them so far.
Yeah.
Right? So we got to put in tile because I am messy, and so I know I'm going to spill water on the carpet, and I just don't want musty smelling carpet. So we're gonna tear out the carpet that's around it, put in tile. In the back, where the tank is, that is where the cold air returns are. So I'm going to have an HVAC guy move the cold air returns to some other place.
Oh, okay.
I am going to have a plumbing guy
Floor
jackhammer the floor up and put a drain in because I know water's going to go in the floor.
Oh, yeah.
I don't want to mop it up. I want to push it down the drain.
Yeah.
Right? And so, in fact, Mr. Saltwater, I saw in one of his episodes, he did some cool, an upstairs thing where he actually put a false floor in with a drain, right?
I saw that.
And if I was doing that upstairs, I might even consider that. But in a basement, if a catastrophic event happens, I got wet carpet, I'll rug doctor it up. I don't care. But if I was upstairs where it was going to destroy the house, I might consider something like that.
Yeah.
Right?
Another thing you got to consider too is moisture-resistant sheetrock. Stuff like that, the painting and all that stuff. I mean, it's not a significant amount more, but it is something that will add more to the cost. So I did that for sure to, cut back on any issues that you might, come into like mold or things like that. So, by the way, is closed caption? Or you guys have closed caption so people can understand what I'm saying?
Through
your accents?
Somebody asked last night, will there be closed caption available so they can understand me from
You just have to go back
Georgia.
and watch it again.
Well,
YouTube will pick it up.
You can turn on the auto translate from Google, and then who knows what they'll have you say. But yes, there'll be a form of that.
Sorry about that.
So I would say, I haven't added it up, man. But just knowing about the meeting that I'm gonna have in about an hour about this, and then adding the other elements onto it.
Yeah. 15 maybe.
I mean, it's hard to even say out loud.
Yeah.
I'm probably going to be into this 15.
10,
I hadn't
15,
even thought about the actual aquarium yet, right?
Yeah.
All right, so that's it. How much is your tank? The tank, sump, stand, or sand? Tank and sand. What size is this
Tank
thing
and
again?
stand.
Okay.
Do we have a picture of what he's
Yeah.
got right now? Okay, so that
perfect.
is the tank in the back, by the way.
Yes,
Love
that is-
Slick Plumbing.
That is a Planet Aquarium's tank. It's 8 foot by 3 foot
Ooh,
by
nice.
2 foot tall. That figures out to be around 380 gallons. I rounded up to 400 because we all do it. It's the 400 gallon. It's the 400 gallon basement tank. But then I have the steel stand there. I didn't have to do any kind of skinning or woodwork on that because it was going to be behind the wall.
Yep.
I built this little catwalk, so to speak, that I get up there and stand up
That's
so
a
I
good
can
idea.
to reach the very front. That's kind of a stretch, being 3 foot and being so tall.
Yep. So it doesn't look like there's any panels up front for you to be able to access from the front at all.
Absolutely not. No.
You show that hole in the wall there.
Yeah. No panels in the front. I didn't.
Okay.
I didn't.
They usually leak light and warp.
Yeah,
and stuff,
and there's
so.
also a shot with the brickwork on the front.
Oh
nice.
look at that.
So, yeah, and here's the thing that you learn a lot of lessons when you build things like this. But one of the things is like, there's lots of stuff that I want to do where I work from the front to have the look and see, and then to the back. And good thing I can just walk around the corner there. But if you're talking, upstairs versus downstairs on your sump and things like that, like you may wish you would have done something different,
Yeah, Nick Manderfeld, our wholesale manager here, he actually has an in-wall tank and has said the same thing. It's super hard to see what you've done on the front of it. So this is a cool video of the tank, huh?
Yeah, that's just simple iPhone shot. Now, the tank it's been in place for 3 years. Of course, it took a while, to get everything complete and get water in it and everything. But what you're looking at right there, man, I don't even know where to talk about stuff like this today, but I had a dino flagellate outbreak. Dinos, I guess, what everybody calls it, dinos. And so, I mean, we'll get to, I guess, those maintenance and challenge costs of things coming up in the show here. But, what you're seeing now is literally about a year, 2 to 3 months old, considering what I had to do to get rid of the dinos. But that's something else to consider, man. When you have problems, you have it on a much larger scale.
Yeah, and
with a dream
sometimes
tank.
there are expensive solutions to those
But hey,
problems.
dream, to have a dream, fulfill a dream, it's worth it. I mean, the things we go through in the hobby,
Okay, so how much for a 380 gallon, 400 gallon tank? How much is this?
Do I have to say that live on
Putting you
TV?
on the spot.
Okay, I'll say up front, Tanya, turn your TV off right now. No, I'm just kidding. She knows about all this. The main expense was the room that I built.
Right.
Yep.
That was the main expense. And so I will go on record to say that the room cost about 20 grand.
Okay.
So with all the things, and plus, I went with a reputable company, not the cheapest, because I mean, it is a dream tank. You want it done right. You don't want to be laying in bed and you fall down into the basement, where the wall was taken out and not done properly. But as far as the tank and stand goes, that's around a $10,000 tank and stand. Now, I have a few connections in the hobby.
Okay.
So with my advertising side hustle,
Connection discount.
with my discount, I was able to barter, if you will, to be able to put that tank and stand in there. So
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, so same with me. I was just gonna leak some of the stuff. You'll experience it over the time, but so Felix at BRStv, this guy's just never let me down. I've never seen a tank where I'm just like, I love this stuff. I love the work.
Yeah, he's
and
amazing.
ultimately, I was somebody else was kind of courting me on this thing, and then he called me up and he's like, "Dude, this is going in your house. Are you telling me, like, what do you want? You're gonna look at it every day." Like, you're right, Felix. I want it.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely.
Yeah, but Felix, this is again like a $10,000 tank, and that is actually not even with the stand, man.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Well, mine's without the sump too.
Yep. So Benner is doing the same thing here too. So Chris Benner has worked with me. He's going
amazing,
to help
too.
me not only build the beautiful stand woodwork he does here, but he's also going to help build a desk at some point that matches it so that I can write scripts and look at the tank, you know, like with you guys. Maybe shoot a little live down there.
That'd be cool.
You know, what I really want for me, more than anything else, is I want a place where I can spend hours with the tank, really enjoy it, because the tank will be more successful if I'm there with it, next to it all the time. And I
Absolutely.
spend so much time in my computer writing stuff.
That's a good point.
Yeah, so I'm super excited about that one. But yeah, like we're still like, I haven't bought a bucket of salt yet, and like there was people shouting out numbers in here like, oh, it's gonna cost 20 grand, it's gonna cost 50. I haven't racked up the actual number yet, and part of it is that, like, to be honest, man, if I was gonna go like write a check today, I probably couldn't afford it. But we're gonna build the thing like over the course of a couple of years, and you know, I'll just keep investing into it as I have the ability to.
Absolutely.
And like, I want some pretty cool fish, and I would not be able to buy them all day one, you know.
Oh, yeah.
And so like,
Yeah,
I'll
if
just
somebody-
buy them when I can. you
Yeah,
know?
if somebody were to say, I'm going to write a $25,000 check for this aquarium setup, you know,
Yeah.
they're not going to do it. Most of them are not going to do it. But if they, you know, are going to spend $1,000 here, and you know, a month later they're going to spend $2,000 here, you know, eventually those costs are going to add up, and you know, are going to be easier to accept than to write a big, you know, $40,000 check
Oh yeah.
So
for a
here's-
dream aquarium.
Here's one of the things that you probably like, I think you should catch, is like, you're right. You just said the word, write a $25,000 check with a smile on your face, right? Like, again, man, it's like people invest in the things that bring joy in your life, man.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yep.
We're not, well, some of you are like, these guys are insane. And other people are like, I'm with you. You know,
Yeah.
one or the other,
Yeah.
you know?
Mhm.
And hopefully some of those people that say we're insane, man, someday you'll be insane right with us. You know, you just kind of progress around, so it's fun.
Absolutely. I mean, like I said earlier, when you're in the hobby for a certain amount of time, you start developing this dream, you know, scenario of what you would, you know, like to have. And people say, oh, I want a 5,000 gallon shark tank or whatever. But you know, realistically, you know, I'm at my dream tank. You know, I have my dream tank.
So, like, okay, when you retire, you know, like 60, will there be a new one?
No.
Okay. So I have a good friend of mine who lives in Florida, and him and his wife, man, dive in their tank. It's like 4,000 gallons.
Wow.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and so they get in there in their scuba suits and they
Hand
feed
feed
and
and-
whatever.
Wow.
And they're not like fully retired, but they're also not working full time anymore either. And like, I can't guarantee that won't happen. Like, I can't like totally write off that in 20 years that I'm not going to want to dive in a tank. I just, like.
Well, I recall the moment the 8-foot tank showed up in my house, and just looking at it, I'm like, what in the world have I done? I mean, seriously, like, because it's massive, and you know, it takes a lot of work along with a lot of money to put in place. I mean, but you know, it's like you said, it's a hobby. It's what you enjoy. It's a dream, and so like to fulfill those expectations that you have of this hobby, you go through some extremes, and you do what you got to do. You know what I mean? So thank you to my brother-in-laws that helped me roll that.
I haven't figured out how I'm getting this in the house, by the way.
Oh, hire
So-
somebody.
Suction cup magnet thingy.
That's another expense.
Well, actually,
Hire
I
somebody.
talked to Jeff, who was here live a few weeks ago, and he's like, hire somebody insured.
Yeah.
But locally, there was a guy here named Stan, and he went on the forums by the name Energy, and he had a 15 long foot tank that was like 6 feet tall and
Oh
like
my
3
gosh.
feet deep or something like that, man. It was just super, super epic. This kind of tank now, like, puts us to shame. Right, so like my
build your house around
360
it.
gallon tank
Yeah.
is like a little dwarf,
like-
just tiny
Yeah.
tank, right? And so you have to build your house around
Yeah.
it. And those panes and stuff don't just go down your doorsteps. You know, like, you had to decide that you wanted this tank, and then
Oh,
build a
yeah.
house to fit the tank.
I've seen the builds
Yeah.
before where the homes are built like that, but then they bring in these huge construction industrial, I don't know, cranes to have to lower just the tank in, you know, to the spot into the home. So
Oh, yeah.
That's
I'm glad we're talking about this because there's a question on here from JBK Reef who asks, will Ryan be creating a build thread on Reef to Reef?
yes,
yes.
yes.
See, it's a perfect question.
I've never had a build thread on Reef to Reef, man.
Maybe you can outdo Terry.
I should
And
probably do it.
he just said yes, so it's got to be done. We're going to hold it to him.
I'm gonna be like, yes. I'm like, maybe yes. Yeah, I don't know. Like, my workload is so big, man. And you know, it used to be like my life was just fine. I would like wake up and work from the crack of dawn to the end, and then go home and have a beer and enjoy my life. Now, I still enjoy my life, but I go home and I see my kids and then play with the kids, and then it's like bath time, and then it's story time, and then like as soon as it's 10 o'clock, it's also like Melissa time, you know, and like there's no respite now. So I'm gonna try. I'm gonna do my best. Create a 360 build thread. Maybe she will create it for me today.
Maybe it's just a photo build thread with no
Yeah.
text, because texting
Yeah.
is the hard part for him.
Sure.
Just take a photo, show it up there.
If there's another reason where I'm sitting at my laptop in my house and like my wife finds out it was your fault, you're in big trouble. Yeah. So yeah, I would love to do that though. That'd be super fun. So all right. So cost of the gear, man. Again, I think everybody already knows what the gear costs. Like,
Yeah.
you can see it.
we all use a lot of the same gear.
yeah,
Nothing
pumps
proprietary
and-
here.
Yep.
Yeah.
So you know, cost of the coral and fish though. Like there's a lot
Yeah.
of different ways to approach this,
Ooh, yeah.
and like if you go after every little named you know, cherry coconut coral or whatever you make up, you know.
I like that. That's the BRS
The next
cherry
cherry
coconut coral.
coconut, yeah.
They're
My favorite
scrambling
is,
now.
what is it, birthday cake or whatever? Yeah, so if you go after all those things, man, like they're super cool. But like, I mean, one of them's literally called Home Wrecker because your wife is gonna leave you
yeah.
if you buy this thing, you know.
Thank you, Jason.
And so, yeah, man, like, I mean, you can spend 10 grand on 10 corals
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
that are this
easy.
big.
Oh yeah, easy.
And then look at it, the results, and say, oh my God, what have I done?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
there's probably be some of that built in there, but really, if you get some of those stuff, start trading and stuff, and you know, the more energy you put into the community, and the more energy you put into the hobby and being part of the clubs and whatever, actually, the cheaper all the corals get because everybody starts trading. them,
Absolutely.
right?
And for me, it's just like I'm going to put in there what I like. You know, what I want to see grow, what I think adds the best variety for what I enjoy, not because it's, you know, some cherry coconut BRS coral.
Cherry coconut birthday cake. Yeah.
Birthday cake.
So the same thing for me. And so a lot of the builds that you guys watched, we've had some super, super generous vendors like Worldwide and Austin Aqua Farms and
Battle
Corals.
Corals. Yeah,
By the way, I
Unique.
love Battle Corals website. It's just super eye candy.
Oh, yeah.
So big shout out to you guys. And
Unique and Ora.
Unique and Ora, all these people providing corals to us. And so like this thing was just like, you know, pimped out day one.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But I didn't really get a chance to like say, hey, this is what I want, and this is what I want.
Right.
And so now I'm personally looking forward. Look, one of the things I want to do is fill up like one of the panes with like Euphilia and like cool things that just make it look cool.
Very cool.
Kind of one part of it day one, and then spend the rest of the time curating the other side where it's not, I'm not in a race here.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like, you know, we go to all the like Reefapaloozas and all those kinds of things, and just like
Start window
come home
shopping.
with like 3 that I really liked out of the whole thing, man, and like become, you know, really kind of like a collector, you know, like it just is a totally different extension of the hobby. I'm not in a race. I don't need to spend a fortune day one.
Yeah.
I will spend a fortune over time, but like it doesn't have to come all in like one big glob,
Yeah.
you know. And I think that's part of, you know, the plan for me is to build out one pane that isn't super expensive and then start building the other ones, and maybe it'll come back around, you know, or maybe I'll just like that because guests love stuff that sways,
Yeah.
right? So when people come to your house, they don't go to your, you know, birthday cake one. They go to
The zinnia.
zinnia is pulsing, the bubble coral,
that's cool.
you know, the
Yes.
frog spawn, the torches, all that stuff. And so kind of like build one for the guests, one side of the panes, one side, the other side's for myself, and you'll see how this kind of comes together in the future. But like, at least that's the way it's in my
Yeah,
head,
that's true.
right? So
Let me ask you, do you consider like a dream tank like a bigger tank?
that's interesting. So for me, Dream Tank needs to capture my interest long enough, right? And so part of big is it just has room for my interest,
Gotcha.
right? So it does not have to be giant. In my head, I struggled with that, man. I really did. Like at one point, there's this cutout that's like about 3 feet deep and about 8 feet wide, and then it goes about another 8 feet the other direction, or 10, so about 8 feet from where it ended. And I wanted to create an L.
Yeah.
You know, and it had to be built on site, and then like you'd watch the fish just like traverse this whole thing, you know, and I'm like, man, that is like a dream tank, and it is still in my head. But
That's the next one.
Yeah, but like at the same time, man, like there is no way that I'm gonna have the time required to maintain that, and like I don't want a tank that's gonna look like garbage in my house.
Absolutely.
I just don't have time to do it. And I
another
have
good
to be
point.
honest with myself
Yeah.
and match the dream to available time.
Yeah, yeah.
That's very good. That's a very good point. And then, you know, you got to consider, you know, as those corals grow, the bigger your tank is, you know, the longer that it takes to have a full looking aquarium. You know, so you can have a small Aquapora colony in a big tank, and it looked
dwarfed.
very small.
Yeah.
And if you add that in, put that same coral in a 90-gallon or something,
Yeah.
it's going to be, you know, pretty big.
Yeah.
So that's something you got to consider too.
And one of the things for me too is I want to keep things manageable. And so some people will tell you like, oh, there's not that much difference between a 1,000-gallon and like a 400-gallon or whatever,
Yeah.
right? And like to some degree they're right.
Yeah.
You know, it's like maintaining a skimmer is maintaining a skimmer.
Yeah.
You know, and clean the glass
Yeah.
takes a little longer. But if you like really start getting into needing to clean the rock work and the sand and those like deep dive maintenance things, they take way longer. And then some of the issues that pop up is like, say on a 2,000-gallon aquarium, I want to do 10% water change.
Yeah.
That's 200 gallons of water
Yeah.
I need to have on hand.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and if something catastrophic happens
Even
for
more.
me where I
Yeah.
want to do like really get that out of the water,
Yep.
dude.
Yeah.
You gotta
I don't
make it
have
fast.
500 gallons on hand, like waiting for that. And so, 20-gallon water change on a 360 is much more manageable for me,
Yeah.
right?
And that's that's the thing to consider too. Like, you have this big tank. You want it to look good in your home, and you got that maintenance. Well, the more you can automate it, the more gear you can, put on it to take care of a lot of the tasks to make it easier. Your costs they're still going up. It's going to cost more and more. But yeah, I mean, and there's lots of things that variables that come into play. But yeah, it does take you a lot more time and effort to maintain, to make it look good. So. And those costs keep
I've
going up.
never cared for a 360-gallon tank before, so you guys are going to experience with me real time. We'll talk about it every week. We'll talk about it in the produced video as well as live after, where you see my tears and joy, tears of joy. No, you'll see both angles of it. And for those of you that follow my Facebook or Instagram, I have a suspicion that I'm going to just pop in and just like show you what's going on
That'd
at
be
any
cool.
given
That'd be
moment,
cool.
because I can't help myself.
You should probably get
Yeah.
But you'll fall
Subscribe to
into you'll fall into a rhythm. I mean, like anything, like it's you get a pattern and a rhythm, and it's not that hard. So you're gonna be all right. If not, you can hire somebody and come in and clean it for you.
Yeah. No, so one of the things that I want to share more than anything, actually, and so this is one of those things I think you just kind of transition from, is in the beginning, nobody wants to show you their like dirty laundry or ugly baby,
Right,
man.
right.
Like you just kind of hide it, And now I actually get really excited about my failures, because like, oh man, we should go show everybody like what happened here, and then like why it happened and how to avoid it, so it doesn't have to be you, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so like. I don't really want this, but part of me, like, I want to encounter dinos in this thing. So
No, you do not.
I know I don't. I know I don't. But
Nobody heard
but
that.
I do, in the essence that I want to have the journey, instead of hearing how 8,000 people commingled and solved it. Like, I want the journey of the things that we try and solve and whatever. And maybe I don't want that specific thing, but like I'm sure I'm going to come into challenges, and so we can follow along and see really what happens. I bet the like real quick live stuff, like throw up my phone and go on that. So follow me on Facebook if you want. If you find those things, man, just kind of shoot it. I'm super excited about it. it's awesome to show your successes.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I learn way more from the failures than I do
Yes.
anything. So I'm excited about that.
Yeah.
Let's answer some questions here. So how much time we got left?
We've got 5 minutes to make it an hour.
Oh
but
man, we've just burned through a whole hour. I'm so sorry. We're gonna answer some questions anyway, though. Hopefully, you'll pick out some good ones. Somebody gave us like $10 there. Who was that?
So there's Glenn with $4.99 as usual. Thanks,
Glenn, thank you.
all the time. And he says, "Hey, Rev, holding it down for us Southerners."
Yes.
Nice.
$10 from Marcus. As always, thanks again for all the time that you guys spend. And there's a lot more there, but it's really small text.
All right, we're going out to dinner tonight. Actually, Scott from Red Sea's here today. Also, he couldn't make it in this thing, but maybe we'll get him out here for another one. It just gets too many people in here. But maybe we'll use that $15 and buy Scott some dinner or something. So thank you very much. All right.
Okay.
Question.
Here's a bunch. Let's see here. I see one about glass. Oh, how are you going to clean that glass? Asks, and that's probably directed towards you.
Oh yeah. So I'm using the Tunsy care magnet. So it's been amazing. I just keep one for each side of the pane of the glass, and from the front it's super easy. It's the best one that I've used. Honestly it's super easy.
So for me, I had by the way, next week is Terrence from Neptune. And Terrence from Neptune is somebody I debate stuff always, because he will always give you the hardest approach on it possible, steel sharpening steel.
Yeah.
So I had a 2-hour conversation about best magnet cleaner one day, right? And so for me, I love the Tunes one because the little corners come out around. I don't have to worry about the silicone and stuff, right?
Yeah.
I hate when it falls off. When it falls off and I have to go trying to find a way to dig for it, makes me really mad. I really like the LG free ones because the magnet's super, super strong and the little wood block looks nice so you can leave it out and whatnot. I don't really like the fact that it has the Velcro in there, so if a little sand got stuck in there or whatever, it could possibly scratch your glass.
Yeah.
I do like the flipper one because it has the max, which is big. So if you got a big tank, you can do big areas really fast.
Yeah.
And it has 2 little points in the back, right, that won't allow any sand or anything to get in there.
Very cool.
And so after shooting the 2 BRS recommended videos and debating with Terrence for 2 hours, literally. In fact, it was text, and finally I just picked up the phone and debated. And then I came to work and I was talking to people, and it turns out that the staff here feels the same way, and they've hybridized it. So half of the customer service staff use the LG Free on the front and the flipper for the back.
Oh,
right?
wow.
And they're
Awesome.
oh, you nerds.
That's
so great, man. You take it the best of both worlds and put it all together. So myself, I don't know for sure. I'm not sure, but I will probably want to try the flipper just because it's the biggest blade on it.
Yeah.
And I got a lot
How big is that blade on that?
It's probably about 5 inches, maybe 4.5.
I use I think it's called the Super Strong or the Strong.
Yep.
Yeah, the
Tunesy.
Tunesy Strong Care. Yeah, big one.
Yeah, I gotta tell you though, every time that the LG Free one, the inside pops off and it floats to the top, and I just grab it. This is the way it's supposed to be. Yeah, so there you go. Next one.
Down a little lower, somebody asked, where is it at? Rev, what was your biggest mistake and biggest? Let me see if I can remember that somewhere. There it is. What was your biggest mistake and your best decision?
Ooh, wow.
That's a good one.
That's a real good one. Probably. Ooh.
How'd you get the dinos?
That's probably the biggest. I'm not sure how that I got those. It literally, guys, it took me, and people on Reef to Reef, they know, and I did share that journey with them. It literally took over a year to get rid of the stuff, and it was so bad that there's no growing coral in it. I mean, it was just covering everything. I bought a lot of stuff from you guys to try to figure stuff out, which I believe helped. I thought maybe pH issues were contributing, being down in the basement, the different levels. Also, used a combination of some things, and I believe Vibrant helped me a lot.
Oh yeah.
To be honest with you, I dosed the heck out of that stuff, and like 10 times the amount. And that was my first big break to get rid of it. So
Vibrant was the first
oh
big
yes,
break.
yep.
Oh,
And
wow.
I've documented that on Reef to Reef as well.
Oh, yeah.
But like it was like a 10 times the dose, and I hope I don't get in trouble for saying all that, but I don't know. But I dosed, and every single day I dosed that, not like one time, wait a week. You know, it was everyday dosage. I had to order a lot of that. Like
It's a little
case.
opposite of the story he was telling us, but
last
also
week.
like any way that you can learn how to beat something that it seems some days unbeatable is good.
Well, it was a lot of water with the sump and the frag system that's plumbed in there behind the tank and everything like that. But yeah, Vibrant, man, and finally there was hope, and then eventually completely beat it, and been dino free for about a year and a couple months. So
Dino free.
Yeah,
Ben,
you like that?
Dino free. That's a crazy statement.
You get tokens for
all right,
every
so
year.
best thing that you've ever done. I mean, it sounds like Vibrant actually, but
the best thing I've ever done.
Best decision.
Vibrant.
I'll let you go with that.
Yeah, thank you.
All right,
thank
what's
you.
the next one?
Where is it? Oh, let's talk about some salt. Rev, what salt do you use? And Ryan, what salt are you planning to use?
They're
Salt,
trying to
man.
get me in trouble, like, because I mean, we've got sponsors. I have to say the right. No, I'm just kidding. I use what is best for me. You know what I mean? What I think is best. And to be honest with you, I've used a combination of salts in this aquarium. It just would depend on if I needed like to have an emergency and change out some water quick, and I wasn't able to order something in, on time. I've used Fritz salt. I've used reef crystals. I've used a couple others that I forget their names right off the top of my head. But
What's your go-to salt
Right
for
now?
this tank right now?
my go-to salt? I've been using the Fritz salt.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
the RPM.
RPM.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So for me, we've used them all, right?
lot,
If anybody thinks that like you can't be successful with any one of these salts, I just don't believe it.
Well,
Like,
none of them have yet to turn an aquarium upside down and eradicate everything just by mixing some salt water.
there is no miracle salt mix. Like, and here's the thing, man. It's kind of like your meow mix versus raw food, man. Like, you're not gonna like start feeding your cat or dog and like miraculously gonna be healthier, right? In ways you'd notice. And so almost certainly these salts are like, some of them are better than others, and like in ways that you can actually see with the naked eye, which probably shows up in biology as well. But none of them are going to prevent you from being successful. And I'm only going with the stuff that we've done here. So we've used Instant Ocean at times. We have used Red Sea
I have
a
used
lot.
Instant Ocean.
HW was for many, many years. And now it's Tropic Marin. And I will tell you, the number one reason we use Tropic Marin here is because nobody here wants to clean out their buckets, right?
Yeah.
And so the pharmaceutical grade stuff, there's just never anything in the buckets. The brown crud is just gone.
And I'm gonna try some of that salt as well.
Yeah.
Because I believe that too. Like you can be successful. It's just what fits what you want to do more.
yeah.
So.
So if you want to clean out buckets, and you know what? I didn't know, because all of those salts, to various degrees, some are a lot worse than other ones, even within the same line. So like the reef crystals is a lot more crud in it than the Instant Ocean. Like
That's kind of an emergency. Like I can kind of pick that up anywhere if I run out of salt.
Yeah.
Salt. You know what I mean?
I don't have any problem with it. I would use it instant. If somebody dropped a pallet of Instant Ocean at my house, I would use it until it's gone. There's nothing wrong with it. But if you're asking me what I'm going to buy, I will spend the extra $5 a month and use the one that doesn't have me digging around.
Yes.
Especially when I start to have really big containers, right? And then like, what am I going to crawl inside this thing and then clean it out?
No, you're going to buy this tool off of eBay that is motorized that you stick down in there and it goes and you clean all the crud.
Yeah, and then like I'm
'Cause I
gonna have
do
to get
that.
whatever like the citric acid I use, and I'm gonna thoroughly rinse it out. I'd just rather have it never be dirty to begin with. And so that is what would be what I'll use, and it's the only one. Other than the ESV thing, actually, that one also, pharmaceutical grade stuff, and
I heard lots of good stuff
that-
about the ESV.
their approach makes more sense than anybody else's, to be honest. I'm not willing to do the 4-step process.
That's
So-
that's kind of the issue with me at this point, the time to do that.
Yeah, so there's a great salt debate. Use whatever one you want. And some of them, I would say if you want, you really can look at Randy's testing. He did all kinds of different things. And for me, I want to be able to store it for a long time. They won't change parameters or whatever. I don't want a bunch of gunk in it. And actually, it was really interesting. I was talking to another competitor to Tropic Marin about their salt, and like, because when he did his tests, the bottom of the bucket and the top of the bucket was the exact same, right? So it was consistent through the whole thing. And like, hey man, well, how come it's that way? And a competitor of theirs said, it's because they use these $500,000 mixing machines. They're one of the only people that are going to afford them. And it turns out they have 7 of them. And so, it isn't that it's stratifying like at the, or traveling around. It's that it was mixed properly to begin with.
Yeah.
And so I know the top of the bucket is the same as the bottom of the bucket. In fact, they were telling me, and I didn't get the name of the machine, but they actually do all their trace elements, which to be able to get a cohesive mix throughout the entire thing, they actually take all their trace elements and run them through some super ridiculous expensive mill. They have to rent time on this mill that's like a ridiculous cost. And they rent the mill and then create the entire powderized trace element thing for the entire year, right? Oh, wow. Yeah, because it's like they can't afford to buy. They're buying $7.5 million mixing machines, and this thing they have to rent. Time on, right? Wow. Yeah, and so like that's why this stuff is so cohesive. It's not like it's in the process and the quality of material. Like all the corals jump for hooray when you use it? Probably not. Will I use the cheapest one with the Instant Ocean? Will they all jump out and scream, help me? No, right? It's not that drastic. Yeah. It's not poison or miracle. Yeah. But for $5 a month, I don't need it to be that far apart. Right. So that's my take on it. So I just use the one that looks good to me. Visually, I can see with my eyes the difference. Mixes fastest and whatnot. So let's go on to the next one.
Down at the bottom, there's a couple questions that are revolving around. There's a few of them on here.
Hey Rico, $10 from Rico. Thank you very much,
Rico.
Hey Rico, I've been watching Rico a lot lately, and I'm so sorry, man, about all the problems you had. But it's been really interesting to watch how you handled it, and I think, man, it's hard not to say, you had a little salt mix issue and not share with the world and not burn everybody. I thought you really did a really good job of managing, sharing the reality and also a little bit with the world. And it's cool that Fritz came over to your house too, man, and kept it real with you guys. So bravo, super sorry you had to go through all that, but cool. Thank you for watching, man.
Yeah, a couple bucks from Victor also. Thanks, Victor, for the cameraman. A couple people were asking here on lights, and so there was this True Reef who asked, what lights are you using? Down at the bottom, there was a few other ones about lights and whatnot, but basically, I saw Radion XR30s on yours.
I'm doing 6 the Radion Pros.
The 30s?
The 30s.
Okay, there you go.
For me, I can't tell you yet. I can tell you if you watch anything we do, you'd expect to see Kessel T5s.
That's a garage. That's a garage gator. You can buy them online.
Oh yeah, so
I can just pull the lights. They're not that heavy anyway, but I needed something a homemade thing that I put together.
Yeah, right on, man. Right on. Yeah, so I'm not. If you ever watched anything I've done, you'd expect to see Kessel and T5s or the tank bed. It's too far away. I haven't decided entirely, and maybe something new comes up between here and there. But if you watch anything I do, you would say, well, of course he's going to do that. So I don't know.
What else? May surprise you.
There's a lot of them on here. I don't think we'll get to all of them. But
let's just try to do this little speed round here, a little quick.
Let's see.
So I got to go meet that power guy at 2 o'clock, which is going to be 22 minutes. I have to leave here in 7 minutes and run. So 7 minutes speed round.
Okay.
Let's go.
Right.
Rev, if you didn't have a dream tank, what would your hobby be?
I don't know.
We were talking about this dinner last night.
It's my life.
Yeah, we're talking about his dinner. I don't know. I don't know a single other hobby that has this black hole of knowledge acquisition and learning. That no matter what you do, there's always something new to learn.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's no other area I would know where to put it in. So
it takes up all my time. So
I have no other hobbies either. I'm a really bad bass fisherman. That's it.
Jack Fu wants to know: can we see your in-wall tank build thread? think
yeah.
you definitely have it on.
Yeah,
Reef to
absolutely.
Reef.
Yeah, we have
There's a picture of the Reef to Reef thread homepage there.
we
right?
have a link.
over here on the.
Oh, that's a old. That's one of the old. We didn't know if we would talk about Reef to Reef.
But yeah, I'll throw a link to your build thread in the
okay.
description
I'll
of this
send that.
video once this
Cool.
is done, and you can also check it in a couple different.
And it's a slow process build. You can get from the beginning when we bought the house all the way to where we're at right now. So it has all those details in it. So
All right,
yeah,
awesome.
join
well,
us.
I mean,
please.
I'm gonna have to do this. I think. I've never done it before.
You
That'd
should
be
really
fun.
do it.
Right on. All right, we
will
got a couple more.
BRStv be doing anything to show how to frag or cull growth in the future? So like trimming your stuff.
So I definitely, in my fish room, want to create frag rooms too.
Yeah.
Frag racks, I'm like in my mind are like racked up there. So I would love to do that as well as just part of the natural progression
it's
of the
fun.
tank.
Sweet. Will you be setting up QT systems for the fish and coral?
So for the fish, no. I will definitely have them pre-quarantined by marine collectors.
Yeah.
They'll do it better than I would do it myself.
Absolutely.
Collect the right fish, treat them, and I've had such good luck with them so far that in the end, just pay the people that do it best than rather try to learn a brand new skill set that is one that absolutely needs to be perfected over time.
Quick ones. Josh Spork Sandwich. Hey, Josh, how are you?
Hey, Josh.
And I like that Reef to Reef shirt. Rev, can you get me one?
Hey, Josh, I would like to have you here. You're on my list of people that I would like to have sitting in this chair. So find a way to contact me. I will find you somehow. And I'd also like to come out to your facility and film it and share it. So,
Josh Spork
yeah,
Sandwich.
dude. Thank you for commenting. Come here. Join us.
And no shirt for you.
No shirt for you, he says. Joe Rubies wants to know, is it SPS dominant or mixed? You're going to be mixed, I guess.
I'm
Me?
mixed. Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be mixed. So I hope to have 3 different panes of 3 different types of corals.
Yeah.
There's a couple people on here that ask about a Reef to Reef app.
Oh.
Josh Broadbent, actually.
You had to
be
ask that
specific.
Are we going to get another app? Are we going to get an app? Are we going to get an app? Which one?
Right now, the site is completely mobile accessible. That's the way the software is built. You
I've
can
been
use
doing it on my phone all day.
Yeah, so it's super easy. Give it a try. In the future, we do have a plan for a standalone app, but right now, just enjoy the mobile version,
Right.
please.
All right, a couple more, and then I got to roll.
Oh, $20 from Twan
look at
Black.
that.
Thanks for
Oh,
that.
man, Scott's going to eat good tonight.
There you go.
Yeah, there you go.
When will Rev update his build thread? From Danny Spear.
Danny, I mean, it was updated about 3 or 4 weeks ago. That's pretty good for me. Go check it out.
Okay, all right.
All right, you got to get commitment. You're going to update it when you get home.
Sure.
There you go. There you go. Commitment.
You got to commit. If he's going to commit,
know
to
you're
that,
not-
He
You
never,
gotta-
he never
it's
gotta be
committed.
quid
He
pro
never
quo
committed.
here.
I mean, like halfway committed. I'm still like
halfway committed to
halfway
posting
committed.
something.
I'm halfway
Okay.
committed.
All right.
But thanks for your interest.
So do you put off setting up the tank to save until you have every piece of gear that you want?
That's a good question.
Or do you put something in place that'll do a similar job to allow you to enjoy what you have and then upgrade later?
I guess it depends on the type of gear, but for me, I've done like with the skimmer. I've waited to upgrade. So
I'd say, like, if I can, I just wait to get the right thing, right? But what I wouldn't do is wait to get, like, be able to afford everything, because that's a project that just collapses on its own. It never
absolutely.
happens, man. So, like, the best advice I give somebody who actually wants to have a tank is go buy the glass box and go from there, right?
Yeah, good idea.
Yeah,
Good
then
idea.
just start building on it, man. It's a hobby. It's like, buying a classic car that sits in your driveway. Eventually, you'll drive, just not today.
Yeah.
Right? And so, but if I waited to buy the classic car until I could get every last part and have every last thing figured out on how I'm going to fix it,
It
it
never
just never
happened.
happened.
Never happened.
So I wouldn't wait. But what I do, like, suggest, there's certain things, like, you want an auto top off, don't buy the garbage out there. Just wait until you can get the oscillator. Just wait. And otherwise, you're just making the oscillator cost more in the end.
That's true.
So like
Cool.
that's where you're gonna land. All right, so I got 2 minutes left, and then I got to go see the power guy and have him empty my wallet. So what else we got?
$5 from Reef Dudes.
Oh, hey, thanks,
So,
man.
Thanks.
Look, all the famous guys are here today.
Yeah, what else we got here? Hey,
Reef
Rev,
Dudes.
any plans for a Reef to Reef store? We want to buy some Reef to Reef swag.
Ah,
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, we've done stuff in the past and things like that, but just logistically for us to,
Where's the Under Armour
keep a
Reef
bunch of
Reef
stuff
shirts, man?
in stock. It's just kind of difficult. But yeah, no, we definitely have plans, and I'm working on some stuff behind the scenes so you guys can buy some stuff. But I'm just glad you would want to buy some stuff. Thank you.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, I'm just going to use this last couple seconds. Is there a really good one there we want to hit?
No.
All right. So thank you all for all of your questions. Hey, dude, thank you, man, for coming
Thank
and
you.
join you.
Thank you, my
for
friend.
dinner last night. We had some really
Amazing.
crazy pizzas at this place called Pig Ate My Pizza. Come to Minneapolis. Also, you found Revival.
You found Revival for us. We've been doing it for like our quarterly meetings. It's the best.
If you want the
chicken
best fried chicken,
waffles.
it's in Minneapolis, apparently.
That's an old reef to reef shot.
Oh, there you
years
go.
old, but that was if we were going to tell the story of Club Zoa to reef to
I
reef,
got
just
it.
in case.
All right.
You know what I mean?
So it all came from Club Zoa.
Revival.
So all right. So thank you for coming, man. And next week we're talking about placement, right? And Terrence is coming out for that one from Neptune, and he's got a big tank in his house too.
He's got a little bar.
I'll have
set
to.
up on
I'll definitely
next
be
to it.
watching that
It's
one.
pretty cool.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
he's got a
we're-
beautiful tank.
We're gonna talk about all the terrible places you can put a tank, and all the great places, all the mistakes that people have made, and again, Terrence doesn't pull any punches, man. He will tell it to us raw. So if you want to hear the story, man, come on in. And so we'll see you next week. Thanks again.
See you guys.